you got to protect him. Like, you got to give him some sort of options, and they gave him plenty of weapons to be able to throw to and get the ball out.
Yeah.
I think it's just that he is under duress sometimes and gets bodied.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Washed Athlete Podcast, another This Week in Sports episode. If you're new around here, we are the Washed Athlete Podcast. We are a group of 5 college guys, 4 on today, who like talking about sports, life, kind of whatever's going on in our world. We're all in college. We're all 20 years old.
I'm 21.
Sorry, Raj.
Jacob's also 21. Don't disrespect us.
We're gaining. This is like 1 week ago. We had a bunch of 20-year-olds, and now we've got 21-year-olds. So look at us now. But we have a mainline episode where we just kind of talk about our life in college and whatnot. So if you're interested in that, you can go check that out. And then on this episode specifically, we talk about like the last week or so that's happened in sports. And fortunately for us in our content, a lot has happened in the last week. We're rolling into week 18 of the NFL season. A lot of things have been happening in the NBA. So we're going to talk about it. And I think first off, we're going to talk about the Damar Hamlin situation. There is not much to say, unfortunately. But we just wanted to send like our thoughts and prayers out to his family, to himself, hoping he gets a speedy recovery. I think watching that live, that's like the scariest thing that can happen on a football field. And there was just a loss for words at that point.
Yeah, because, I mean, obviously the media cycle's kind of like been through it. They're kind of hammering it home a ton. So there's not much for us to really add at this point, because obviously all we hope is that he's able to live. Like, at this point, I just want that guy to be able to say hi to his family again, and just be okay. I think football is kind of completely out of the question at this point. And like, for his sake, I really hope he doesn't even consider playing football again, as much as I know he probably loves it. But there are things that are more than football, even though that was like probably his dream to play. But it's like, at this point, it's more than football. It really is.
Yeah. And as a fellow Pitt, as a Pitt alumni, it definitely hits a little bit different. So I know the entire Pitt family is like reaching out for the guy. And if you're interested, we have a link in our description for his GoFundMe. He's organizing a toy drive, and it's raised over $6 million at this point. But if you're interested, you can donate there. That's where everyone's kind of donating their money to support him and support. He's giving back to like the city of Pittsburgh. So
Yep.
But going off of that topic, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead, Jacob.
I was just gonna say I was pretty happy with how I guess the NFL family has kind of responded to the situation. Everybody seems like to have been pretty supportive. As you see, like, everybody's been donating to the charity, and it kind of reminded me, like, I didn't watch it live, but it kind of reminded me of the Christian Eriksen situation a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still playing soccer, so hopefully Damar Hamlin gets back to a situation where he can do whatever he'd like to. But as you guys have said, prayers to him, his family, his teammates, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
Yep. And everyone's glad that the game was canceled. Give those players a shot, and we'll get into it a little bit later when we start talking about these future games coming up. But those guys, they weren't ready to go back on the field, nor they should have been. They didn't.
There's no way.
They didn't sign up for a career of seeing someone have CPR done on the field. So we're going to transition a little bit now into week 18, because this is the last week of the NFL. It's been a long journey, but finally we are down to our last few games. And honestly, there's still a lot of movement that can happen in week 18. A lot of teams on the bubble, a lot of seedings up for grabs. So we're going to kind of talk about those important games. If you're a fan of the teams that we're not talking about, sorry, your team probably sucks. So go cry. I don't know. So the first game we had to talk about, and this game is this is the game. This is the Chargers and Raiders game of last year. It's the Jaguars versus Titans. Obviously not like hard hitters, but this is like win or go home. They need I know last year was like a weird situation. If the Chargers and Raiders tied, both of them could get in or something like that. But whoever wins this game goes to the playoffs and gets to host a home playoff game.
Yeah. That it really is going to be crazy, because like at the beginning of the season, it looked like the Titans were a runaway for the AFC South, but then somehow they've just been going on a slide as of late, and Jacksonville now looks legit with Trevor Lawrence, and it's going to be a really interesting game, because the Jags look white hot right now, and the Titans are throwing out, I think, Joshua Dobbs as quarterback? What's his name? Dobbs. Yeah. Josh Dobbs, yeah. did not look good in this past game. So I think the Jags might be able to claw their way into this and win.
Yeah, and I put it on our notes today, but the line is 6.5, which
That's
I believe
a big spread.
And the Titans are at home, I'm pretty sure. So the Titans have this home game. They're still 6.5 dogs, and it's like you're throwing everything at them, like at your entire playbook to get in. So like obviously the Jaguars are pretty big favorites when you can put all that into perspective.
Yeah, it's wild. It really is. Because I think Derrick Henry's out, basically all the Titans receivers. He's in this week. Okay, that's the big thing. Okay. Because he didn't play last week, but they were basically just saving him for this game. And Derrick Henry has a track record against the Jags to be able to run all over him. So we're going to see. We're going to see.
200-yard game incoming, possibly. Who knows?
It's it's either going to be a Derrick Henry legacy game or a Trevor Lawrence legacy game, and we need to see which one it is.
Derrick Henry's got to buy that offensive line, like everything they want, just to power them through for like one game, because they're going to be leaning on that offensive line the entire day.
Yeah.
And it's not like the Jaguars like front four is like anything they're like rave home about. So I think they're going to run the ball 30 times.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of that game, and I don't know. We'll see.
I think everybody's on. It's going to be a run for most of the game. I mean, Josh Dobbs. I was watching that game. He has an arm, kinda. But it's the Titans. They don't have a single receiver. So AJ Brown was right.
Yeah. That game's like, it's just like, it'll be an exciting game to watch because again, like the stakes for that are so huge. It's like a playoff game essentially. That's what it is.
Kind of like a play-in game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next game is Patriots versus Bills, which on paper looks rough, but I think when you start breaking it down a little bit, there's a lot of facets. Number one, without we have to mention, this is a weird game for the Bills. They just got their game against the Bengals. That was the game of the year. It just got canceled and postponed because their teammate went into cardiac arrest. So how are they going to bounce back from that? I don't know. I don't know what that does to the players. I don't know what that does to team morale. And we still don't know what's happening with that Bengals game. So I could see a situation in which maybe the Bills are a little bit rusty because they didn't really play last week. They're emotionally rattled. I don't know how that game is going to sit with them. So that's an aspect to look at the game. And then the Patriots have it out here, and I don't think it's all too crazy to say that they could get in because they would have to beat the Bills, which would be the hardest thing for them to do. But again, as I talked about, I have to mention, Josh Allen, sneaky, had a little bit of a knee thing before Damar Hamlin went down. His knee got pushed back and locked a little bit. I don't know what his status on his knee looks like, and I'm sure the Bills organization is not really going to worry about that right now with all the Damar Hamlin stuff going on. So I don't know if Josh Allen's 100%. He obviously had the ulnar collateral ligament issue in the beginning of the year. His knee, I didn't think his knee thing looked good at all when I saw him limping off the field. So I think that's an interesting aspect. And then to have the Steelers and Miami lose, and we'll talk about those games in a little bit, I think those are big possibilities. So there is an out here for the Patriots. It's not high, but there is an out.
They need to not get in the playoffs. I don't want anything to do with that team at this point because they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. They just don't. They're so bad. They will go out there with the check down master of Mac Jones, and somehow it's Rashad Moore Stevenson, their running back. That came out of nowhere and is so good this year. And it's get them out. Stay out of the playoffs. We don't want you here. You're bad. Stay out.
Well,
I don't like the Patriots.
Is there a team that the NFL base collectively agrees no one wants in the playoffs? Because I don't think there's one.
Well, that's not really an option at this point. But
I'm saying I don't think anybody outside of the Patriots fans really want to see the Patriots in the playoffs.
It's not even they're an entertaining team to watch. They're just boring.
Mac Jones
it doesn't make
deep down the field and check down.
Yeah, it's it doesn't make for good football to watch. It's not entertaining. It'll be a snooze fest. And if they do end up somehow beating a team in the wild card round, it's okay, well, it's going to be because that team is playing down to the Patriots. Not the Patriots are going to be lighting up the scoreboard or even having a great defense. It's just oh yeah, they they'll push him out there for a little bit. The team will kick a field goal and whatever. It's like, okay, cool.
And then one of their best skill positions, Marcus Jones, is injured. So like the most exciting guy on the Patriots is just not available.
Like, oh my god, they better not
Marcus
make
Jones.
it. I'm gonna be so mad.
Like I said,
I don't even know who that is, to be completely honest with you.
what? That's
Marcus Jones.
dude. He's like he's like the first guy since like Dion to have like a punt return, offensive touchdown, and a cornerback like a pick six touchdown.
You know he played for
Oh.
Bama, Jacob.
What?
Wow, fake
Wow.
fan
No way,
there.
Marcus Jones.
This is a
Fake
rough-
fan.
Yeah,
Good
he did.
Marcus Jones.
Wow, fake fan. Fake fan. All right, we're moving on.
Moving on. Vikings versus Bears. And I wanted to only mention this here because I didn't want to disrespect the Vikings fans, but there is some movement that could happen here if the Vikings lose, 49ers win, Eagles lose. There is some movement in standings that can happen. That being said, they're locked into 3 or 2. It just depends which one they have, which, I mean, the Vikings, in my opinion, with the way they've been playing, are going to need every single thing they can get. So I think trying to get that 2 seed would be really big for them so they can at least have like a fighting chance if they make it out of the first round, because I don't think the Vikings look that good. I don't know about you guys, but
No, they've been on a slide as of late, and they can't really put it together. Yeah,
Kirk
they
can only
look like
play at 1
frauds.
p.m.
Yeah, if he doesn't play at 1 p.m., he's a fraud. Like, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he just can't do it otherwise. And it's not even like he doesn't get enough sleep because it's at 1 p.m. Like, I don't know what's wrong with you.
that defense is like all time bad too. Like it's just
Oh, yeah.
they're just giving up points left and right. And
Mhm.
but not Jacob, Peter. That's gonna be an interesting matchup for the Giants because I think that is pretty much locked in at this point.
Yeah, because I think it's the 49ers win, and it's automatically Vikings are into that 3 seed. And the fact that the Vikings, they kicked a 61-yard game-winning field goal against the Giants earlier, and we didn't have Xavier McKinney, who is going to be back for that game, who's our best free safety and has a big impact on the game. And we might get a Dory Jackson back for the playoffs by that point, who's our number 1 corner.
And you guys can rest this week.
And we can. I don't know. Dayball, I don't know about.
You can rest. Doesn't mean you will.
We can. Only thing that I'm thinking of is, do you remember when you guys benched your players and we got knocked out of the playoffs?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think the Giants forgot about that.
Oops.
So again, does it matter at all? No. But I guess we'll see what each coach decides to do, because realistically what they should do is just have the starters play for like the first half and then like just send in your backups, because like there's no use getting your players injured at this point. Like if you're already locked into a certain position, like who cares? Just see what happens.
Yeah. And we'll just move down to that game, Giants versus Eagles. That's going to be very interesting because the Eagles have been on a little bit of a skid. It's injury based. I'm not even going to say it's talent. I think it's completely injury based. The team is completely ravaged with injuries, and the Giants are obviously have their position locked in. And they can't even move up in seeding. They can't go up to 5. I think they're in the 6th seed. But Dayball said they wasn't resting as starters. The Eagles need to win this game because I think with all the injuries, they really need that first round bye. So it'll be very, very interesting. And if we don't win, we're going to have to show up as a 2 seed to go play.
2 seed.
That's
if the Cowboys don't lose.
Well, no, because the 49ers could jump us, right?
We can still lose the division. We haven't clinched the NFC East yet.
Oh yeah, we haven't clinched the NFC East. Yeah.
So if we lose, we drop down to the 5th seed.
So
then we could be playing Tampa Bay.
That's what I'm saying. You still have to play
And
Tom
it'd
Brady.
Again.
Yeah, that would be a rematch from last year after the Eagles got smoked. Got their pack smoked in the first round. But that game is huge, especially as the Eagles fan. But yeah, I don't think the Giants would want to see the Eagles in the playoffs after getting curb stomped the last time we played.
No, I'd much rather see the Vikings in the playoffs personally. I want to see them first round. They are frauds. I want them in the first round, please. For the love of God, 49ers, get your job done. You're playing the Cardinals. They're terrible.
I just want to see Bucks versus Cowboys. That's all I care about.
I think everyone wants to see Bucks versus Cowboys.
Because will Tom Brady keep up his streak of never losing to the Cowboys? Or
I sure.
Lost?
Tom Brady has never lost to the Cowboys in the regular season.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That would be a great game. And like I think one that betting line is going to favor the Cowboys, but I think you're going to see a lot of public money come in on the Bucs.
Yeah.
Because everyone's just collectively not going to want the Cowboys to win.
Exactly.
But kind of moving back up the list, we got Dolphins versus Jets, which for the Dolphins, they were 8-3. 8-3, and just have plummeted. Now, part of that's injury to Tua, but just to sit here and say that the Dolphins pretty much they need to win, and then they need the Bills to win. And I'm like, if that doesn't happen, like that's going to be a collapse of epic proportions.
Yeah, and it's going to be very obvious that like they didn't do a good job at protecting Tua. And like they need to figure out that offensive line then, because like if he's 3 concussions into the season, like that's insane. Like I think Kenny has 2 concussions, and the Steelers' offensive line is significantly worse. So like I don't know what's going on there, guys. Got to figure something out, because if you're putting all your eggs into the one basket, saying that Tua's your guy, you got to protect him. Like, you got to give him some sort of options. And they gave him plenty of weapons to be able to throw to and get the ball out.
Yeah.
They have decent running backs to be able to carry the load. I think it's just that he is under duress sometimes and gets bodied.
I mean, also, if you look at the schedule, they've had they've had to play tough opponents down the stretch. Like, they had to play the Niners, the Chargers, the Bills, the Packers, like back-to-back weeks. And then Tua got injured and won the game, so
yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen with the Dolphins. I think
and
what were we saying?
I was saying like the Jets too, like they're out of the playoffs, but for a team this year who has exceeded expectations, I don't think they're just going to play this game as a joke. Mike White is playing for a fringe starter position or high backup position, being paid, and that team of young guys are going to try to go out and win the football game, because you end your season as like a flat. I think it'll be a flat. What is the record? They might be 8-9. But still, it'd be a great season. Like I don't think they're going to be like They're going to try to win the game and upset a division rival. So the Dolphins don't just have this mailed in.
Yeah, they need to go out there and win this game. And then they need the help from the Bills. So like they have kind of just let their season slide. And I think that did start with the 49ers game, because I don't remember exactly what the score was of that game, but it was like a defensive masterclass in how to shut down the Dolphins. And then every team since then has just been doing that exact same thing, and they just can't do anything to stop that. So it's looking a little rough, because I remember the beginning of the season where the Dolphins were supposed to be like the next best team, like right next to the Eagles, and then they just tanked.
Yeah, and now it looked like a conversation where it was like Tua for MVP. Oh, definitely like no chance he's not like the quarterback. And I still believe in Tua, but the concussion thing is really bad.
Yeah.
And you have to start thinking about Tua needs to start thinking about protecting himself and his life after football. And the Dolphins have to be concerned about if Tua can play during the year.
Yeah.
Like when we talked about Kenny Pickett having a lot of concussions, Kenny doesn't look like he's been violently thrown to the ground as much as Tua has, and Tua's had a lot more scary situations with the hands and like getting stretchered off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like he's had some bad head and neck injuries. So that'll be an interesting off season story.
Yeah, that will definitely be like a serious off season story, because like, where do you go from there? Because it's like you have everything. You clearly have the tools to be able to put together a playoff caliber team, hell, a Super Bowl caliber team. But what's going on? Like, is it like you can't adjust to defenses? But then McDaniel's supposed to be this offensive mastermind, and he has put together a great offense. Like Tyreek Hill's leading the league in receiving yards. Like,
well, not anymore, but
not anymore. But like he was for a while. Like he was like, and then the duo of him and Waddle is basically unguardable. But then it just was. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, like, what's happening? Like, I don't get it. Like, it's like, none of this adds up. Like, you have the entire blueprint there, and then the 49ers show up, and then you just suck. Like, what happened?
Yep, and the Dolphins are signing Mike Glennon to. It seems to come in and try to
Not
quarterback for Steve.
Glennon. Oh,
That
that dude. Oh, for
Mike
for
Glennon.
context, that dude played backup quarterback for the Giants last season. That he might be one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen on the field. Like, genuinely, that dude. Okay, which first of all, I don't know how, because his neck is so long, he should be able to see the entire field, but he is so bad. Like, he is so bad.
I don't know if they signed him to his practice squad because they needed a better backup since Teddy and Tua can't go, but I wouldn't be shocked if Mike Glennon gets to start out there instead of Skylar Thompson.
Mike Glennon legacy game loading.
Exactly. Mike Glennon and Skylar Thompson are your two options at this point. Oh my god, this organization. That's
At this
bad.
point, you might as well forfeit the game.
Like, you're not winning with either of those guys at quarterback. I don't care who you have catching the ball.
If Zach
But-
Wilson were to start for the Jets, I'm picking
Yeah.
Miami like easy over them.
Oh. So-
I would like to make it clear, know that I was never high on Zach Wilson. So
I think we might have tape of you not being high on Zach Wilson.
yeah, so
We'll have to go
yeah,
pull
I
that
think
tape.
it's definitely out there if you would like, I'm not the biggest fan because he doesn't go to a big school.
yeah.
Like something like
Probably
that. Something along those lines.
almost identical to that.
Yeah,
So I'll
yeah,
have to
yeah,
go
yeah.
back. I'll have to go back and like look to find that.
Because you said the
I-
same
I
thing
would-
about
I-
Willis.
Yes.
About
Malik Willis.
oh yeah, and Trey Lance. Honestly, I wasn't a huge.
Well, Trey Lance has played like one snap of football.
Yeah, he's played like a couple games. He's played like, I think he played what, 1.5 games, I think.
A preseason game and then like one full NFL game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Brock Purdy, though,
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Relevant.
he's legit, apparently.
They're not on the list because maybe the best team in football is playing the Arizona Cardinals this week. But
They look. Okay, Panthers fans must be down so horrific right now because it's like Christopher McCaffrey's like, oh, he's injury prone, he doesn't do well, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. He gets to the 49ers and has scored a touchdown in every single game that he has played in. Like,
that team's so good. You forget that McCaffrey's on that team sometimes because like
actually,
Brock Purdy's getting all that attention, and then the defense is elite, and Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. I don't
and
think
George
Deebo's playing right now.
Kittle.
George Kittle. Oh, I forgot about George Kittle. Yeah, just like
Like, they don't even
it-
have like elite quarterback play.
No, he's just
They really
good.
don't, and they're just that good. It's insane.
Because that's the whole thing about Brock Purdy. It's like he just doesn't make mistakes. Like he just doesn't. Like he just goes out there and just like executes the game plan perfectly, like every time. And then
And even, like, his interception last week, he threw a genuine bad ball, but he didn't make a bad read.
no,
Like,
it was the
the ball
correct
came-
read. Just like obviously a rookie out there.
Yeah, he threw the ball incorrectly, which like obviously that's part of like being a talented quarterback, but like it wasn't like he didn't see it underneath safety or anything. He making bad decisions. Like he just didn't throw the ball well.
Yeah. And it is truly wild to just see Mr. Irrelevant walk out there, and he's got like moxie. I don't know how else to say that, but he like walks out there like he is a dog. I don't know if that's just because he's doing well or if he was always like that, like no matter what really happens. But I mean, he has been leading that team now, and it's terrifying to think that the 49ers could have had another top 3 pick besides Trey Lance and just inserted Brock Purdy in later. Like they could have had some other amazing talent on their team and just didn't.
Yeah, I mean they could have drafted Trent Williams as replacement and just like had
They
him
could
in
have
the
drafted
pipeline.
Micah Parsons.
They could have. Oh my
Like
god!
if hindsight is 2020, if they did that, imagine him and Nick Bosa.
Oh my god.
That would be
They
terrifying.
paid up a lot for Trey Lance. Micah Parsons was 12, so they could have saved a lot of draft capital to do that.
Yeah,
How much money do the Niners have?
infinite money.
no.
They just
Well,
they do whatever they want.
They're drafting good players. They're not like signing them. They're just like drafting these guys and
A
developing
lot
them.
of
and-
players are developed. Yeah, you're right.
Ah,
and
makes
they're
sense.
they're a good organization.
Yeah.
And he's got Pro Bowlers all over the place. So, I mean, hats off to the 49ers. But moving on, Jacob. It's Jacob's first day back on the podcast in a minute. And we're here to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers because the sneaky Steelers could be 9-8. A thought that was like seemingly impossible 7-8 weeks ago.
2-6.
And suddenly they're going to have potentially a winning record. And they're playing a team. They're favored. They're favored to go 9-8 on like a rebuild year.
The Mike Tomlin effect.
First and foremost, R.I.P. Franco Harris.
Okay.
Got to put that out there. But yeah, I mean, it is the Mike Tomlin effect. He's just never had a losing season, and I kind of want him to, just because I know if we go to let's say we go 9-8, right, and then we somehow make the playoffs, because I think we need to have the Jets win, right?
The Jets need to win, and the Bills need to win.
Okay,
yeah.
And that's very possible.
We're
not going to win in the first round. We're going to get knocked out of the playoffs in the first round, and we're going to have a horrible. We're not going to have as.
Don't you dare say that about Kenny,
dude.
He has 6 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
It's a rebuild season.
Unironically.
Okay, but Jacob, my thing is why are you upset about making the playoff? This is about establishing you are good enough to make the playoffs when your team is horrible.
No, I understand that. The standard is the standard. I'm pretty sure I've said that before on the pod, but
you were a walking cliche.
But it's just going to be difficult. I think it's going to be difficult for the Steelers to be able to rebuild long term if you keep on getting draft picks in the 20s, where the best you're getting kind of mid. It's still relatively good talent, but it's not as good talent as you could be getting. So I want to say a few years ago, the Niners were they were pretty bad, right? And they drafted Nick Bosa, and they've turned around pretty quickly, and they're now elite. The Steelers haven't been able to do that just because the Steelers consistently will for the past few years, especially will barely edge out to being either 500 or now 9-8. And then they just will draft I don't know, they'll draft somebody and then maybe they're a good player, but I think they need to I would like it if long term, if they just had just one season where they were awful, so we could draft somebody.
You are so entitled. Oh my god.
Dude, hold up. You have Najee Harris.
You are Jacob. They drafted TJ Watt with one of those picks. There is talent. They find talent.
They also haven't been able to the Steelers have the potential to be a great franchise.
They are a great franchise.
They've been a great franchise for
good. Okay, not franchise. Not franchise. A great team in the in the upcoming years. But I would like them to get just a high draft pick for once.
You can trade. You can trade picks.
The Steelers don't really trade.
I know, but I'm telling you,
that doesn't happen. That's one thing I hate about the Steelers. They're not flashy at all. With
you don't know what suffering is, all right? You don't get to say that, oh, it's fine, we'll just tank for a year. Oh, I wish we had high draft picks. No, you don't. You don't know what it's like to lose for 10 years, all right? The Giants have been so bad for so long. All right, you don't want that. I'm telling you right now, you don't want that.
I'm kind of awkward. As a fan, I'm kind of in that awkward position where I can't be the Steelers are a good team right now because they weren't really...
you were good with Big Ben for 10 years.
Yeah, but we're talking
you were a Super Bowl caliber team for 10 years. Good God, you need to rebuild. It's not the end of the world. You just need to draft offensive linemen and some linebackers, and that's it.
Now, Jacob, the real question is, do you believe Kenny's your franchise quarterback? That did not sound very promising.
Possibly.
What do you mean possibly?
I think he's a rookie, Raj.
I think he's done relatively well considering the play calling and the offensive line.
Blame Canada.
I mean, he's been injured. He's had concussions. He doesn't have a great stat line. mean, he really doesn't. But I think that I like I think the team kind of feeds off of him. I think the team enjoys playing with him. And if that's the case, then I mean, that's what you probably look for. Well, in addition to good play, but that's probably what you'd look for in a franchise quarterback. So I think he could be. If he isn't, I mean, I wouldn't be horribly surprised, but I'm not actively rooting against him.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear.
I'm not actively rooting against Kenny Pickett. There, you can clip that.
Wow. Clip it, put it out there. Jacob doesn't hate Kenny. Unbelievable.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I think the Steelers, I don't know. It'll be insane.
So you want them to lose?
Well, at this point, I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's going to be like a game or so. But, in one season, it would be one season. We had a horrible record at one point, and now we've rattled off wins, and it's impressive, and I'm proud of the team. But it's still we're just that middle of the pack team, and we're just going to stay as a middle of the pack team.
Jacob, I hear you.
I think I would want to be obviously one of the better teams in the NFL, but just kind of being middle of the pack. It's just, I don't know.
I hear what you're saying, but that's more relevant in basketball when outside of the top 10, a lot of studs aren't drafted. But in football, studs are drafted in the first round and second round all the time. So you just need to draft better in those rounds. Jordan Davis came in for the Eagles and made an immediate impact, and he's been great when he's been healthy on the field. And he was a first round draft pick in number 16. So I don't think that there's been other great players that have been drafted higher in the rounds that are contributing to their teams and second round picks. So I don't necessarily. I mean, Jalen Hurts example is second round pick. So I think you guys just need to draft better at the position 17. If you're right at 17, 18, draft better there and draft better in the second round because they're legit players that you can use on your team. You're just not drafting where you need to draft.
Or
also,
trade
Jacob,
up.
We drafted Jalen Rager, so
it just doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, true. I forgot about Jalen
I really
Rager.
hate that they never do any flashy moves ever.
Well, I thought the standard was the standard.
The standard is the standard, but they never do flashy moves. Raj, what were you saying?
No, I was just saying, if you think that your team was bad, we drafted Jalen Rager.
Yeah, having a high draft pick does not mean you're automatically going to get a good player.
Just look at Zach Wilson. Anyway, the Ravens and Bengals. Moving on to Ravens and Bengals. Both teams are in the playoffs, but this decides the division winner too. So we're talking about the Bengals because we don't know what's going to go on with that Bills game. The Bengals could lose this game to the Ravens, and suddenly they're on the road against the Jaguars or something like that. Actually, yeah, I think so. I think they might, if they lose this game, they might be on the road in the Jaguars or something like that. So that's a huge game. But the Bengals have a huge line on that game, 7.5 or something. So
they're going to beat Baltimore.
Yeah, but I don't know what's up with Lamar.
Yeah.
The Ravens are averaging 12 points over their last 6 games or something. It's
they're bad,
but they're winning. They still have won some of these games.
Their offense is just, it's ugly. It's bad.
Yeah,
because they're treating Tyler Huntley. That's the backup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're treating him like he's Lamar, and he's just not.
Lamar.
He's just not Lamar. Unfortunately, he is not him. And they need to throw the bag at Lamar because they have centered their entire team around him, and the fact that they haven't gotten a deal done is really concerning.
Yep, I agree. And then I
was gonna say that's my all-time favorite meme. The one that's always every time the Ravens lose, they post it where it's a guy on his knees at a door giving cash.
Oh yeah, it's Greg Roman to Lamar after the season is over or something. Yeah.
And then finally, the last game, and possibly my contender for game of the year, Lions-Packers. Packers win, they get into the playoffs. Lions win, and all they need is help from the Rams to beat the Seahawks, which might be tough. But man, Aaron Rodgers in a win or go home. I believe the Packers are at home in Lambeau, and you got the Lions, who are a high-powered offense, have kind of a questionable defense. I think this has great game written all over it.
I think so. I don't know if Christian Watson. I don't know if he's injured or not.
He should be good to go.
Because if you got him and Romeo Dobbs at the beginning of the season was breaking out, he looked like a decent receiver. Also, this could just be the Aaron Rodgers effect that he is in fact, still a very good quarterback. He has beat the washed allegations, unlike some. I think you're right, because I think this is one of those games where it's like, the Lions just somehow find a way to lose. And I think this just might be the season where they got their hopes built up so much and they're going to get so close. And then it's just going to get ripped away from them at the last possible second. And it's going to be heartbreaking, but I do think the Packers will beat them.
And it's going to be funny if the Packers have to go in and play San Francisco in the first round. Because we know what San Francisco's done to the Packers.
San Francisco owns the Packers in the playoffs.
But I also think there's a fun little Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm 100% rooting for the Lions, though.
They need to make the playoffs.
There's a part I'm like, I want to see Aaron Rodgers do it. Like, I want to see, like, honestly, I would love to see the Niners lose, the Vikings win, and have Aaron Rodgers go into Minnesota
beat the
Vikings, and suddenly the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, who everyone was like writing off for the entire year, suddenly they have a second round playoff game. The Vikings with Kirk Cousins are going home after Kirk threw 3 interceptions against Aaron Rodgers. Like,
oh my God.
That, like, if you have like Eagles versus the Packers in the second round, and then you have like the Bucks versus the Niners or something like that to me just sounds like perfect. That, like, because then again, obviously the Eagles get to move on, but then like you have Tom Brady beating the Cowboys. Like, what a great world!
Oh my God. I mean, that might be your ideal thing, but I think what you really want is you just want Detroit to cry. I think that's really what
I like Detroit. I was tired about.
I know.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love Dan Campbell. I think it would be top tier entertainment if Aaron Rodgers gets it. And he did this thing again where he didn't quite say they were going to run the table, but he was like, they were 4-8 or whatever, yeah. and they were like, oh, don't worry, like we'll get back there. And suddenly now it's like, oh,
they can.
Yeah. And I think they will.
The only thing that would suck is if the Seahawks lose. Because what is it? If the Seahawks lose, then Detroit's in or out. I can't remember.
No. So if the Lions win and the Seahawks win, then the Lions don't get in.
Yeah, but the thing is that game's going to happen before the Packers-Lions game. So we might be going into this game knowing the Lions cannot win it. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. So they're just going to be in there depressed.
Dan Campbell's an arc.
Yeah, and then Rodgers is going to go in there and light them up for like 6 touchdowns.
Just like another Hail Mary maybe for the win.
Oh my God. The city of Detroit would burn. I would light that city on fire. That would be so bad.
Oh, don't worry. I'll bet for Detroit winning, so they'll lose.
Oh no. I'm sorry to the city of Detroit. You just lost. If Raj ends up placing this bet, it's game. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You will not make the playoffs.
On a side note, speaking of my betting, Justin, do you want to know what happened to me yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
What happened to you, Raj?
So, knowing my curse, I bet the Virginia money line against Pitt, but then I also did a counter bet to, like, just as a meme, that Pitt was going to minus 4.5. I had it until the last second 3 they hit.
For context, for anybody that doesn't understand what Raj just said, the Pitt played UVA yesterday in basketball, and Pitt somehow went on a 23-0 run and came back to end up winning the game. But Raj decided to place the smallest bet you could place on Virginia, so that way his curse would work. Pitt would win. But to try to make his money back, placed that Pitt would cover the certain spread in the game. And they didn't cover because some dude on Virginia decided to drill a 3 at the end of the game.
Raj, my question is, why did you try to make your money back? It was like 9 cents.
Listen, I just make bets to make bets now. I really don't care. I may
He's
have a gambling addiction.
addict. Like,
I may have an addiction.
if you are a gambling addict, unironically, please go to the gambling hotline.
1-800-GAMBLER.
There we
Yes.
go.
Please, Raj is 21. But that, I think that's going to be the end of the podcast. We are going to axe our NBA content for today as we are running a little bit longer than expected, but obviously a lot of big games. Before we head out, though, what's the game you guys are looking for this weekend?
Definitely on Saturday, it's got to be the Jags Titans, and I don't want to be that guy. I got to go with Packers Lions. That game's going to be if Seattle loses going into that game, that is going to be an electric atmosphere. It's going to be a win or go home atmosphere in Lambeau. Oh my God, that's going to be crazy.
For me, whoever the Broncos play. Game of the year right there.
Shut up. What about you, Jacob?
Well, fun fact, the Broncos actually beat the Niners.
Yeah, they did. I forgot about that.
Who would have thought? I'm a Steelers fan, even though what I said on the podcast might not reflect it. I am still a Steelers fan, so I'm going to have to go with the Steelers game against the Browns.
And you're praying on their downfall, so you're a Browns fan, so it's fine.
At this point, if they're 8-8, they might as well win because I don't think it's going to change up that much. And then for
wait, whoa!
No. I said that earlier. I said I said because they're like when the Steelers had like a bad record earlier, I was like in the season, I was like, okay, might as well just take because I didn't see the Steelers go even getting to 500, let alone having a potential winning record. So at this point, since they're 8-8. They might as well like go out and try to win the game.
Okay, we need to. I'm gonna look back at the records. I don't know if you said that, but okay.
We'll check in with you next week.
Yeah,
we'll definitely be checking in on Jacob next week. This might be like a Raj and Thanksgiving dinner situation where he needs a week to reflect on what he said. But make sure you go check out the episode Chaos at Thanksgiving. But I'm definitely looking forward to the Eagles-Giants game because the Eagles are going to clinch the number 1 seed and it's going to be great.
And you just cursed us, bro. Why did you have to say that?
I don't curse teams.
Yes, you do!
No, I don't. Anyway, this has been the Watch After podcast.
Do you want to talk about your Vikings bet?
I didn't bet it!
You told me you should make this bet. Trust me, Dalvin Cook's about to score. Look what happened.
He almost had the first touchdown. He almost had it.
And then he got stopped because you said that.
Anyway,
this has been the Watch Athlete podcast. If you liked what you guys listened to, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. It helps our small podcast out a lot as we try to grow. Make sure you check out our mainline episodes. You got a lot of good content over there. You can check out some of our previous This Week in Sports episodes to hear about all the big news stories. And with that being said, this is Watch Athlete podcast, and we will see you next time.
Go Bengals.
Jacob's a fraud.